Are you interested in live streaming from your phone, GoPro, or any device that supports RTMP streaming, all without having to spend hundreds to thousands of dollars on those fancy setups? Well, you've come to the right place. I've used this setup to live stream snow plowing, walking through the woods, and even from Atlanta, Georgia, all without having to worry about my stream disconnecting and losing viewers. What's the best part about all this? It is completely free. And this setup works with one phone. If you don't have another phone, just make sure you watch until the very end. But without further ado, this is the ultimate guide to IRL streaming. Now, before I get started here, I do want to mention that all the links to everything that you're going to need is going to be in the description down below in order of how they happen in the video. All right, so the first thing that we're going to install here is VLC Media Player. Go ahead and download that. I'm going to download that here, and I will show you. There's one little thing that I like to change in the installation of VLC. So we're going to download that, open file, click on yes, click OK, next, and where it says web plugins, Mozilla plugin, and ActiveX plugin, I just like to shut that off. So we're going to shut that off and then click on next and then click on install wherever it wants to install. You can choose a different directory if you want. It is completely up to you. But we're going to get that installed here. We're going to uncheck run VLC Media Player because we don't need to run that. The next thing that we can do is go to OBS. If you don't have OBS installed already, go ahead and download OBS. I already have it installed, so I am not going to mess with this. But if you don't, pause the video and go download OBS. The next thing that we're going to download here is called Git. You will have a direct link to go to the download area here, so you don't have to worry about all this. But there should be a button for download for Windows, or there'll be something there that you will be able to download. So we're going to go ahead and download for Windows, and we are going to do 64-bit Git for Windows setup, and we're going to go ahead and download that and install this. This is going to be used for installing the stream server. You have to use this, otherwise it won't work correctly. So that is one thing I have found out the hard way. All right, so there we go. It popped up this window here. It took me a little bit, but we're going to click on yes. We're going to click on next. We're going to click on next. I already had this installed and it didn't fully uninstall it, but we're going to install it to that folder anyways because it's already set. And all this stuff here you can leave alone. That's not a big deal. You can click on next, and next, and next, next. Just keep clicking on next here. All this stuff is perfectly fine. And then once you get through that, you will be good. Let it install and we will go on to the next step. All right, there we go. It is installed. We're going to uncheck view release notes. We're going to click on finish. So that should be all set. We're going to go ahead and delete that. And I'm just going to remove it from the list here to keep my download section clean. Now we don't need any of these web pages as long as you downloaded all of them, the VLC Media Player, OBS Studio, and the Git package. Now, if you are curious if this setup will work with Streamlabs OBS, yes, it will. And if you're curious about if this will work with YouTube and Kick and Twitch and all that stuff, it will, because the thing that is streaming to the platform is OBS. It is not your phone. Your phone or GoPro or whatever is not actually streaming to the platform. It is streaming to your computer, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay, as long as OBS can stream to it, you can stream to whatever platform. All right, it works for everything, and it works for Streamlabs OBS as well. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead and get the server installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our file explorer here, and we are going to go to this PC. Now, in this PC right here, you're going to look for the drive that has your Windows downloaded on it. As you can see here, because of this logo, my C drive has the Windows downloaded on it. That is perfectly fine. That is what we want. If you do have a drive that's faster, maybe your Windows isn't installed on the fastest drive for some reason, again, you just choose whatever's the fastest, M.2 SSD, whatever it is. If you don't have any idea, just install it wherever. Okay, it's fine, but choose one of these drives here. I'm going to choose the C drive, and in here I'm going to create a file. Now this is important, otherwise I've tested this and it doesn't work for me. I don't know if that's something that I did or not, but I do know that this works for me. We're going to create a new folder, and we are going to name it RTMP Stream server. You're going to copy the name exactly the way I have it right there. That's what I would recommend. I have tried for multiple hours last night and it kept not working if it was any other name besides this. I have absolutely no idea why, but go ahead and name your folder that. We're going to save that. We're now going to go into here and open up that folder. Okay, there should be nothing in here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to this URL down below, and in here there is a this should be a GitHub page. We're going to click on the code section here, and there is a URL with a copy link. We're going to copy URL to clipboard. We're then going to go back to our folder, and we're going to click in the top bar right here. In this top bar, we are going to type in CMD. When you type that in, this little window should pop up right here. I'm going to move my camera to the other side because we're going to start getting into the configs. And right here, we are going to do git clone space the URL. Okay, so it should look exactly like that. We're going to press enter, and it should go ahead and clone it. Once that is done, we can close it, and you should now see a folder in here called Nginx OBS Automatic Low Bitrate Switching. It is a crazy long title, but you should see that folder. Now that we have that folder, we're going to go into that, and then we're going to see a folder called Nginx. We're going to go into that folder as well, and you should see a .zip folder here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on it. We're going to right click, open in new window, and we're going to just kind of drag this off to the side here a little bit. We are going to select everything, make sure everything is selected, and then we're going to drag it on over into this folder. Now it will say there's destination with 2 files, same names. Just go ahead and click replace the files in the destination. And now we can close out of that, and we can delete the .zip folder. Okay, so now your server is installed. So a couple things that we're going to do here now is one final thing over into this scene right here, Nginx OBS Automatic Low Bitrate Switching. We're going to go into this folder, and then you're going to go into this next URL down below. It should look like this. Okay, it should say no albs, whatever up here. We are going to go down to the assets, and we're going to download 64 PC Windows.zip. Okay, we're going to go ahead and click on that. It will download it. We're going to right click open file, and boom, it should be right here. Okay, and then we're going to go open up this folder here and have it both side by side. We're going to double click in the .zip and go into here. You should see .env and config.json and noalbs.exe. We are going to drag the noalbs.exe into this folder right here, and now we can go ahead and close this, and we can delete this file. We don't need that file anymore. So now we have noalbs installed, which is your scene switcher, and we have Nginx installed, which is your stream server. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go through and configure some of that. So let's just go into Nginx here and do one thing here to make sure. Go into a folder that says Windows Firewall, and in here you will see close firewall ports and open firewall ports. Just go ahead and double click the open firewall ports, and once that happens, it's done. You're good. You don't have to worry about it. What that is doing is it's allowing an outside connection to come in, because that's what we're going to need. So once you do that, it's perfectly fine. We can go back here, and then we see all of this. Now we don't have to worry about any of this, but what I do like to do here is we're going to left click, on the nginx.exe. We're going to click on create shortcut, and we're going to drag the shortcut up until the RTMP stream server folder. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing with noalbs. We're going to go back here. We're going to right click. We're going to click create shortcut, and we're going to drag it into the RTMP stream server. And the reason that we're doing this is because all you got to do is go to this folder right here and run the Nginx, which is your server, and then run noalbs, which is your scene switcher. Now that you have all that set up, you will have the nginx.exe shortcut, the noalbs.exe shortcut. You have to run these every time you restart your PC or every time that you want to start your IRL stream. You need to make sure that both of these programs are running. Otherwise, it will not work. Now we need to configure this. All right, now when I open this config file, it is going to open in Visual Studio Code. You can find the download link again in the description if you want it, but you don't need to have Visual Studio Code for this. I just like it because it allows for a little bit better viewing. But for you, you can probably go ahead and just right click it and then open with Notepad, and it'll look something like this. But I'm going to open it with Visual Studio Code so you can understand. Again, completely optional if you want to do that. So let's go ahead and open this config file here. This is going to be the main thing that we need. We are going to go up here, make sure that only switch when streaming is false. By default, I believe it is false, which is good. Basically, what that means is that you can do offline testing. You don't have to actually be live streaming. And I highly recommend that so you can do some testing. And we're going to go retry attempts 5, low trigger here. This low trigger, we're going to change that to 800. That means 800 bit rate. RTT, we're going to change to 2500 bit rate. And offline, we are going to change to null. And then we get into the next step. This is where you should have OBS installed. Don't close this file yet. Keep this file open. We're going to go ahead and open your OBS. So when you open OBS, it's going to look something like this, which is perfect. That's what we want. Now we are going to set up all of our scenes and everything that we are going to need here. So what we're going to do is you're going to have a scene created that's probably going to be named scene. You could rename this if you want. You can create a new scene. It is completely optional and up to you. I'm just going to leave it scene because it doesn't really matter for me. We are going to add another scene here. This scene I'm going to name low bit rate. Again, you can name these whatever you want, but the low bitrate scene is going to be the scene that it switches to if you're starting to lose connections or you're in an area that's a little bit spotty with connection. It'll switch to this scene. We're going to create one more scene, and for me, I just name this BRB. This is your disconnect screen, okay? Your disconnect scene. If you lose connection completely or you shut the stream off on your phone dies or whatever, it will go to this scene right here. And of course, we will set it up and everything like that. Then we're going to go back into the config here, this file that we had open, and we're going to change a couple different things here. So we have a section that says switching scenes and normal live. We are going to change this to scene or whatever your main scene is going to be named. Be sure to have the correct capitalization, okay? Capitals do matter here. Low, we're going to name it low bit rate because that's what mine is. Again, whatever yours is in OBS. And again, my offline screen is BRB, all lowercase right there. Now, once that is done, the next thing that we're going to do, and pay close attention here, you should see a little bracket right here. We are going to highlight from there and scroll all the way down until you see where it says Stream Server Engine X. We're going to delete right above that. So again, just double check that you have all this selected, and then we can go ahead and delete all of that. And we can press backspace a couple times just to make it look a little bit neater. But this should be all that you see right here. Stream Server, Engine X, and all of this stuff. This is what you should see. The only thing that would really change here is the key. Okay, this is the stream key that you're streaming to. It is on live by default. I would recommend just leaving it alone unless you kind of know what you're doing. But this live key, I'm going to leave alone just to say live. You'll see name Engine X, priority 1. Just go ahead and change that priority 1 from to priority 0. That's going to make sure that it is the absolute most important, but there's nothing else in here, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, you have override scenes normal. Just go ahead and do the same thing you did at the top. Okay, so normal is going to be scene, low is going to be low bit rate, and offline is going to be my BRB scene. Another thing that I want to mention here is, again, for those people who want to run 2 cameras or more, you could do 2 or more cameras on this in case you have like a triple camera setup or whatever. You can do this. Follow right along with me. We're going to go into here and you can see your stream server. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy this and we're going to put a comma here. And we're just going to press enter and we're going to press Control V to paste all of this. It'll look the exact same. Now, all that we got to do here to change is the key. We're going to change to just whatever you want again, except it's got to be different than the one up here. So I'm just going to put live 2. Go ahead and press Control S. If you do this again, this is for 2 cameras. So you can have 1 camera live streaming to this URL with the key of live. And if you have a second camera, it would be live streaming to the exact same thing that the first one is, except the key will be live 2 and you'll be able to get multiple streams this way. And again, you can duplicate this, just keep pasting and changing the key and you'll be able to stream a bunch of different cameras all at the same time. And then we get on to OBS. Okay, so this right here is the stream server. This right here is for the scene switcher. That way there, if your phone disconnects and stuff, it will change scene automatically so that you don't have to worry about that. So viewers aren't looking at a frozen screen. We're going to see type OBS, leave that alone. Host, localhost, leave that alone as well. Password, this is where we're going to go into OBS. We're going to go into the top here, go to tools, go to WebSocket server settings. And in here, make sure that enable WebSocket server is checked. Make sure that the server port is 4455 because that's how I'm setting it up here. And make sure that enable authentication is turned on. We can go ahead and show connect info and we can copy that right there, that server password, and we can then close out of there. And let's go back to our folder here and go to the password, and we're going to double click on that and we're going to paste that password right there. Make sure that the port here is 4455 as well as the port on OBS WebSocket. Then we got the chat. Now this chat only works for Twitch as far as I'm aware. If you're interested in adding your name onto here, for the username, you would type in your channel name. If you want to add more admins, you could just do a comma and then quotations and then admin user. You could type in whatever username's there. Okay, and then there's a couple commands here. Again, if you want to know more about those commands, they are on the website, and I'll have of course the link will be in the description for that website, but it has a whole bunch of information on commands for your Twitch stream. Now that all of that is done, I'm just going to scroll through here, double check that yours looks like mine, and everything should be good. Again, your OBS password is going to be whatever your WebSocket password is. It's going to look a little bit different than mine. And then once you have all that set up and you are good there, make sure you Control S to save the file. I like to press Control S a couple times just to be sure that it saves the file. So as long as that is done, this file is done. We can go ahead and close that file. We will not need that again. So let's go into OBS and go to your main scene. And we are going to start setting up all of our scenes. So again, this first scene right here is going to be your main scene. So if you're live streaming and you got great connection and stuff, this is what's going to be showing. So this is where you're going to put overlays for sub counts or whatever you want, you will put on this scene. But we are going to go ahead and press on plus, and there should be a VLC video source. Now, if you don't see VLC video source, that means a couple things. Either one, you don't have VLC media player installed, or two, go ahead and restart your OBS, okay? Because you might have opened your OBS a little bit too early, and just restart it and it should be there. Worst comes to worst, just restart your whole PC. But as long as you have VLC media player installed, this should be here. We are gonna go ahead and add this source, VLC video source, and we're gonna name this, you can name it whatever you want, but I'm gonna name it phone stream, okay? This is the incoming stream from the phone. We're going to press OK. We're going to go down here to the plus. We're going to click on add path / URL, and we're going to type in RTMP :2/ local host. Now, this will actually either be localhost or your IPv4 address. So for example, if you have a dual PC setup, but your streaming server is set up on your gaming PC, let's say, but you want to get the phone stream on your streaming PC, then what this will do, this rather than localhost, this will be the IPv4 address of your server with the streaming server on it, okay? The one that has the streaming server on it. But for this instance, everything's on the same PC, so I'm just going to leave it as localhost. Again, if you have your server running on your gaming PC, but you want to get your phone stream on your streaming PC, rather than localhost, this will be your IPv4 address, which I will show you how to get in a little bit. So we're going to do localhost, and we're going to do / again, and we're going to do 1935. Now, 1935 is the port in which we are going to open up and port forward, and that is going to be the port that the stream is going to come into. And then we're going to do /publish /live. Okay, so the publish is going to be your application and live is going to be your stream key. So if you changed your stream key, then this /live will be whatever your stream key is. Okay, so as long as that is done, we're going to press OK. We're going to press OK. I like to go up here, just right click on the phone stream, go to transform and go to fit to screen, just to be sure that it's going to be full screen when the stream starts. Now we can go ahead and go to our low bitrate scene. Again, if you want to add any more overlays, you can go ahead and do that on that scene. We're going to go here. We're going to add VLC video source. Again, we're going to add existing and add the phone stream. We're going to right click on it, transform, fit to screen. Again, just to make sure that it's full screen. We're going to do one more thing in this scene. and we are going to do low bit rate is what we are going to name this text. Again, you can name this whatever you want, but we're going to add a text source and name it low bit rate. We're going to press OK, and we're just going to say low bit rates. And then we're just going to click on OK, and we're just going to kind of bring it down here into the corner. And there we go. That looks all right to me. Okay, you can adjust this however you want. Again, the most important thing right here is the phone stream. Okay, and what this scene will be is it'll be very pixelated because again, your phone or device or GoPro or whatever doesn't have a lot of connection. Then we are going to go to the BRB screen. Now this one here is a little bit more advanced. Well, I like to make it because this is where, again, if your phone shuts off, if the stream shuts off, if you completely lose connection in a dead spot somewhere, this is the scene that it will change to. And I like to have clips from my IRL streams playing here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We are going to go to this URL right here. Okay, there's a URL. It should look just like this. And we're going to see version 3.4.4 is what I have. But again, it might be different depending on when you're watching this video. You will see a Windows 64-bit.zip folder. We're going to go ahead and download that. And we are going to open this file. And you should see a couple different things in here. And we're going to open up a new file explorer. Go ahead and go to your video folder or wherever you have it. I have a folder named OBS IRL Stream Clips. In here, I just have a bunch of clips from my stream. Now, these clips are 1920 by 1080. Okay, so make sure that if they're 720p, you upscale them to 1920 by 1080, or that they are all 720p. Otherwise, it's going to look very weird. Trust me, I've messed with this. It's going to look very weird. So there's a couple clips in here that are 720p that I upscaled, sorry, to 1080p. So just make sure that they're all 1920 by 1080, and you should be fine. And then we're going to go to OBS randomvideos.exe in this zip folder. We're going to drag that over to here. Once that is done, you can go ahead and close that and just delete that folder there. And we're going to remove that from the list, and let's open that back up. So you should see a .exe in here. We are going to double click on this .exe. We're going to click on more info. We're going to run anyway. Again, this right here, I mean, I use it. I know a bunch of people use this. It is the best way that I found to do it because it actually plays a random clip every time. So we're going to click on run anyway. It's going to pop up this window right here. It's going to say, do you want to play one video? I'm going to say no, so I'm going to put an N. Do you want to loop the first video? I don't want that, so I'm going to press N. Do you have a transition video? So this would be if you have a logo or anything like that and you wanted it to play in between every video, you could put that here. But in my case, I'm going to say no, so I'm just going to put N and enter. That should close, and you should see a .html file open up here and be in that folder. Now let's go back to our OBS. We are going to add a source, and in this source we're gonna add a browser source, and you can name this again whatever you want, but I'm just gonna name it clip player and enter that. And we're going to change the width to 1920 and the height to 1080. We are going to do control audio via OBS is what I like to do. You don't have to do this, but that's what I like to do to kind of separate this audio a little bit because I have a 2 PC setup. So again, you can mess around with this. All this will mean is that rather than going through desktop audio, this will go through its own audio and stuff. Again, you can mess with it if you want to, but I like to control audio separately for me, but you might not want to. Shut down source when not visible. We're going to make sure that that is selected, and we're going to make sure that refresh browser when scene becomes active is selected as well. That makes sure that the clips are random every time. Now, this is very important, so listen closely, okay? I'm going to go slow because this is a little confusing. We're going to click on local file. We are going to go to browse. And in this browse, we are going to go back to our folder that has the stream clips in it. And we're going to click on the HTML file, and we're going to click on open. Now we're not done yet. What we're going to do here is we are going to copy this URL. So we're going to select it all. We're going to control C. Now we're going to uncheck local file, and we're going to control A, control V. Boom. There we go. So this should be what your URL should look like, or whatever your folder is for all your IRL streams that you want to play while you lose connection. Okay. You can now press OK. And there we go. it is now playing audio. Now you guys can't hear it because I have it muted completely, but this will be playing audio, as you can see down here. Again, I would adjust the volume however you want to, because some of these clips might be really loud or whatnot. So I'd kind of mess around with that. I'm just going to hide this for right now because I don't want to play. You can leave it running if you want to. It is completely up to you. We are going to add another source here. We're going to add text, and we are going to say disconnected text is what I'm going to name it. You can name it whatever you want. And I'm going to say disconnected reconnecting. Okay, now if I spelled this right, just call me an idiot in the comments. It doesn't matter. All right, and I'm just gonna select the red color because it typically shows up the best, and you can kind of put this wherever you want to. It doesn't really matter whatsoever. Again, so this scene right here is only going to show when you stop your stream on your phone or when you lose connection completely. And then obviously when your connection comes back, it will automatically switch back to your main scene right here and show your phone stream. This next step is very important. I found this out the hard way. We are going to go ahead and minimize OBS. We can close out of our stream folder. We don't need that anymore. And I'm just going to minimize my browsers. I'm going to go to my desktop here. Now I have an NVIDIA graphics card. If you have an AMD graphics card, I'm not quite sure how to do it. You're going to have to look it up yourself. But if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, I'm going to right click. We're going to go to NVIDIA control panel. We're going to make sure that we go on the left side here and go to manage 3D settings. When you're in here, you're going to go to program settings. It's on OBS Studio. If you don't have it, just go in here and look for OBS Studio. You'll be able to scroll through it. It has a ton of programs, and you should be able to find OBS Studio in there. And go ahead and find it and add it if you need to. But for me, it's already right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to the very bottom, and you will see vertical sync. Make sure that vertical sync is selected to on. And the reason for this, and again, if you're worried about a dual PC setup or whatever, this will not affect anything. I promise you. That's what I use. It will fix a lot of problems. Okay, it helps. Basically what this does is it helps against screen tearing. So when I first did this setup, I didn't have vertical sync on for OBS, and my stream was screen tearing. You saw these like lines in it. It was really, really bad. But once I turned on vertical sync, it fixed all my problems. So just be sure to turn that on. And then once you do that, you should be good. You can go ahead and close out of the NVIDIA control panel. All right, now we are going to get into the next section here, which is going to be port forwarding. Okay, now this is very, very important. This is the most important thing. Otherwise, all of this work is not going to really do anything. We're going to go to our web browser here. We're going to look up the thing that says what's my IP. Okay, so I'm not going to do it here, but you could go ahead and open a tab and just search up online what's my IP. It should show up a bunch of numbers at the very top. Okay, now what's going to happen here is we need to get into our router, our internet router. So for everybody, it might be a little bit different. You need to go look at what your router is, and maybe it might say it on it how to get into it. Or if you don't know, just look up the model number and find out how to get into your router. But once you get in, typically it'll be under an advanced section. For me, it is under advanced. So I'm going to go to advanced, and I'm going to go to security and firewall. Again, it is here somewhere. I promise you, just go ahead and try to find it, but it might be a little bit hidden. It might take you a second to find it, which is all right. But you're going to be looking for port forwarding. Okay, so now I have port forwarding rules, but I don't care about the rules. I care about port forwarding. And now again, yours might look a little bit different than mine, but don't worry about it. So for example, I have application. This is just a name for it. And for me, since I have two PCs, I'm going to say gaming PC, web sockets. So don't worry about if you don't have application, that's fine. This port for the web socket, we're going to say 4455. Protocol. Now, protocol for you might be TCP/UDP, or for me, it says both. That is what you are going to want. Okay, either TCP/UDP or both. So for me, I'm going to select both. Now you could do them individually if you want to. If you don't have an option for both for whatever reason, you could do one for TCP and one for UDP. It is completely up to you. Then we're gonna forward. I have forward to port for some reason, and I'm gonna do 4455. Again, you might not have this, and you might not have a schedule either, but for some reason I have a schedule, and I'm gonna select always forward to address. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the search bar in the bottom left. We're gonna type in CMD and press enter. In here, it should look something like this. We are going to type in IP config, sorry. Boom. When you go into here, you should see IPv4 address right there. That is what you want, is IPv4 address. Okay. That is, again, if you have a 2 PC setup and you want to get the stream on the streaming PC rather than localhost, you'll want to put this to the IPv4 address. But for right now, we're going to leave that alone. Okay. So the IPv4 address, we're going to go ahead and close that because I know it now. And forward to address, you might not have forward to address. You might not have a drop down. You might just have to type in the address manually, but I have a list I can select from. So I'm going to select the IPv4 address for the computer that is going to run the streaming server. Once that is done, we can go ahead and press add to list or save or whatever the heck it is for you. And then we have one more here. So again, application name. For me, I have an application name. You might not. I'm just going to name it Nginx. Original port, this is going to be 1935. Okay, 1935. Protocol is going to be both. Again, TCP/UDP or both or whatever you have. Okay. Schedule, again, I have a schedule. I'm just going to set it to always. And forward to address, we are going to do the same thing. We're going to forward it to the exact same address, and I'm going to select add to list. Once that is done, I'm going to select apply changes. Now, depending on your router, you may have to restart your router in order for this to take effect. So just take note of that. If it's not working for you, that you might have to restart your router to make sure that this is working. We've done everything besides run the server. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go back into our folder here, and we're going to go into the RTMP stream server section. And you should see again the shortcuts that we created earlier. You can go ahead and run nginx.exe shortcut. What this is going to do is it's going to look like that. There's going to be a tiny window that opens up very quickly and then just disappears. You can know if the server is running if you open up your task manager, Control-Alt-Delete, or what I like to do is Control-Shift-Escape will open up your task manager. And you can go ahead and just kind of scroll down here until you see Nginx for Windows. There should be two of these running. They might not be right next to each other. They might be separated, but you can see that right there, and it is running perfectly fine. If you don't see these running, again, just go back in the video and double check your config file to make sure that you did everything properly and that yours looks exactly like mine. Okay, spaces matter, tabs matter. Be very, very careful with that. Okay, now we have noalbs.exe. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open my OBS. I'm going to drag that bad boy up here, and I'm going to open this file again, and we're going to run noalbs.exe. Now, when you run it, it's going to say this right here, protecting your PC. Just do more info. Again, it's safe. It's good. Don't worry about it. Run anyway. It should load up, and it might say Twitch authentication failed if you don't have Twitch authentication. If you didn't set up your Twitch account, it doesn't matter. It's going to spam the Twitch authentication failed. Again, if you're not streaming on Twitch like I am not, I'm streaming on Kick. It's perfectly fine. You could just leave it. It's not going to matter. All right. It's not going to affect anything. But as long as you see this and it's going from there, you should see noalbs switcher scene switch to offline BRB. As long as noalbs is running, whenever you go to scene here or switch a scene, it should automatically move it back to whatever scene it's actually supposed to be on. Sometimes it might take a second, but again, this won't actually happen when you're live streaming. Okay, this is just for like testing purposes. It's because you're manually doing it, and it's kind of like it's a little bit delayed because it's not supposed to be on this scene. So if you forcefully change the scene, it will eventually go to the correct one. But again, when you are live streaming from your phone, GoPro, or whatever, you will not have a problem here. Okay, now that that is done, as you can see here, it keeps switching. We can go ahead and just kind of leave this on. Again, if you don't want to listen to the clips playing like crazy, you go ahead and hide it, and it won't play those clips right now. Just again, I kind of like to have a little bit of quietness when I'm working on stuff like this. But for right now, we can kind of just leave noalbs. You can just kind of put it off to the side, or you can minimize it, whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter, and we can leave this alone for now. All right, now that that's done, there are two different things that we're going to do here. We're going to set up the ability to live stream from our phone, and we're also going to set up the ability, which is insanely important. This is something that not a lot of people know. We are going to be able to control our OBS from our phone from wherever we are, as long as we have an internet connection. Okay, that is a very, very important, and I know a lot of people struggle with that. I found a nice way to do it here, and I will show you how to do it. Again, this is a big point in like the one phone setup. That way there you can shut your stream off or start your stream from wherever you are. But first, we are going to test on the phone. So I have two phones right here. I have a iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I have a Samsung S23 Ultra. Okay, I use the Samsung for IRL streaming, and I use the iPhone for looking at chat or controlling my OBS. Both of these phones have an app that have Kick Chat integrated. I stream on Kick, so Kick Chat integration is pretty rare. I found an app on each of these that works really good with the Kick Chat integration, and they both work with this setup perfectly fine. Again, these phones, or you could even use a GoPro. Okay, I got the GoPro. Right here is a GoPro. All of this stuff can live stream to your computer, and it can live stream anywhere. YouTube, Twitch, whatever you want to live stream to, it will do it. There are two different apps here that we're gonna know. I know a lot of people recommend things like Streamlabs mobile app, but I will say I have never ever once gotten that Streamlabs mobile app to work for me on either phone. So if you have an iPhone, the app that I recommend is an app called Moblin. Okay, it'll look a little something like this, and it will be named exactly like that as well. All right, Moblin, you can find it on the App Store. It's free to go ahead and download. There's literally no microtransactions. It's fantastic. If you have an Android, the app is going to be named IRL Pro. It works pretty well. It works pretty well. A lot of IRL streamers use that app on the Android. However, I am going to show you how to set it up on the iPhone here using Moblin. Again, I'm planning on making another video comparing both of these phones and both of the apps, and it will work with this setup right here. But we are going to use the iPhone using Moblin for now. All right, so we're going to make sure that we download the Moblin app. As you can see, I have the Moblin app right down here in the bottom left-hand corner, and we are going to tap on the Moblin app, and you should be able to see all of this. So with this Moblin app, again, this should look sort of what it is when you first start it up here. I'm gonna go ahead and just flip it and say hello. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in the top right here to the settings. We're gonna go to streams. Now in here, I already have some streams already made, but I'm just gonna delete them for now. And you can go to create, and we're gonna go to custom, and we're gonna go to next. We're going to set the stream name. For me, I'm going to say RTMP server. You can name this whatever you want, but I'm going to name it RTMP server. And boom, there we go. Now we can go ahead and tap on that, and you will see the URL. Okay, in this URL, we are going to delete everything here. Now listen very closely. We're going to type RTMP /2/, our public IP address. So you remember how we looked that up earlier on the computer here, what your public IP address is. That is what we're going to use. Okay, so we're going to do public IP address. Okay, public IP. Now again, this is, you're going to replace that with whatever your address is. Okay, your public IP, not your IPv4. All right, if you do your IPv4, it might work as long as you're connected to the Wi-Fi, but the moment that you go somewhere and use your phone's data, it will not work. So your public IP address, and then you're going to do two double dots here again. You're going to do 1935 again. That's the port that we port forwarded, / publish, okay, which is the application, /live. Okay, live again is your stream key. If you did change that in the settings, this /live will be whatever you changed your stream key to, but I left it default, so we're going to leave it as /live, and then boom, we can go ahead and press done. Now, if you are a Kick streamer like I am, this does have integration with YouTube, Africa TV, Kick, and Twitch, but I'm a Kick streamer, so if I go into the Kick section here, you can see kick.com/API/V1 channel/my user. We're going to go ahead and go and type that in on the browser right now and get our ID for this. Okay. All right. So now that we're here, what we're going to do is we are going to type in that URL. So we are going to type in https://kick.com/api/v1/channels/your username. So for me, it's going to be Yuppie. So I'm gonna do /Yuppie, and boom, it's gonna pop up this giant mess of things. Don't let it overwhelm you. All we're gonna do here is we're gonna press Control F, and we're gonna look up chat room. There should only be one of them here. You'll see chat room highlighted down here, and you will see ID 33537. That is my ID. Again, you're gonna use whatever your ID is. All right, so now that we have that, we're gonna go ahead and go to the chat room ID, and we're gonna put that ID in there. So for me, it's gonna be 33537, right? 33537, yes. And we're going to press done, and we're going to go back to the stream here. Now, this app does indeed have OBS remote control. You can set that up if you want to. I have personally not tested it yet. It's a fairly new feature. I haven't tested it yet because we're going to use a different method to control OBS, which also works on Android. So let's get to testing and make sure that this pops into OBS. We're going to go back to OBS. We have no albs running. So what we can do is we can open up the no albs here and just have the OBS in the background. And what I'm going to do on my phone is I'm going to press go live, and you should see that it should switch the scene on over to the main one, in which you did right there. You've seen it switch, and boom, hey, there we go. So let's take a look here. We're going to drag this off to the side or minimize it. We don't really need that right now. But you can see that it automatically switched over to previous scene, which is the main scene that's going to be live streamed here. And you can see, boom, hey, there we are. I am right there. You can see in the bottom right hand corner right here, you can see that the phone stream, there is audio coming from the phone. It's being live streamed to OBS, so that is all good. Again, you might have to adjust your audio levels here, your volume levels, if you want to, because it might be really loud for the stream and stuff. So again, just you got to mess around with it, do some testing, and if it's too loud, you can go ahead and just turn that slider on down there if you really want to. The final thing that we're going to test here is let's go ahead and just pull our thing over here, our no albs over here, and when I press end, it should automatically switch. Boom, I pressed end. It should automatically switch to the offline scene. It might take a second, right? It'll freeze for a second, and then boom, there we go. Offline screen disconnected, reconnecting. You can see that it switched to offline BRB. And as long as you see that, then that means that everything is set up. If that is not working for you, then just go back and double check to make sure that everything is the exact same as mine. Now that that is said and done, we have one final thing to do here, and that is for you to be able to control your OBS from wherever you are in the world, as long as you have a internet connection. So we are gonna go get that set up right now. All right, so we are going to go on to our iOS or Android. Okay, this works on iPhone or Android phones. Okay, there's going to be an app that you're going to look up called OBS Blade. We're going to download that. Now, when you download OBS Blade, we're going to open it up here, and it should go through. We're going to click on Start. We're going to then click on 28.x and above, and then click on Next. And then it's going to say congrats. We're going to click on start, and we're going to click on allow for it to discover things on our local network, but that's not what we're going to want here. We are then going to go over to the spot that says auto discover right underneath there. It's going to say AA, a capital A and a lowercase a. We're going to click on that, and then we're going to change from IP to domain. And then we're going to tap in the host name box here where it says WSS. We're going to change that to WS // and we are going to type in again our public IP address. The port we're going to leave on 4455 because that's what it is. And then we need our OBS WebSocket password. So if you remember from earlier, we went to our OBS WebSocket, and by going up to tools and then WebSocket server settings, and in there you can see your server password. So just go ahead and take that server password and you're going to put it in there. Okay, so once you got that in there, you're going to press on connect. So I'm going to do that really quick here, and it should say save connection. We're going to click on yes. We want to make sure that we save the connection. We go ahead and name it. For me, I'm going to name it gaming PC. Again, you can name this whatever you want. It doesn't matter. We're going to click on save. Now, when we get into here, boom, there you go. You could see OBS right here. You can go ahead and turn your clip player on or off from your phone, from wherever you are. If you want to double check that this is working properly, go ahead and turn off your Wi-Fi. And as long as you can still connect, then that means that you're good. This is what I used from Atlanta when I was at DreamHack. This is what I used to IRL stream and shut my stream, turn my stream on and shut it off. So when you're in here, you can change what scene you're on. But again, your no albs will switch it automatically for you. Everything's fine. You can see your statistics. There's some settings there. But the most important thing is in the top right. In the top right, you'll see 3 dots. We're going to tap on that and you can see start streaming. And when you start streaming, you can also press stop streaming as well. And that will also work. You could record, you could stop the recording, virtual camera, you could do whatever you want in here. Again, just make sure that this works without having your Wi-Fi on. And as long as it works without having your Wi-Fi on, boom, you are good. So now every time you go into OBS Blade, you should be able to see that it can connect on the bottom of the screen there, connect to it, and you can turn your stream on and off from wherever you are at all, as long as you have internet. Now, whenever you're ready to do your IRL stream, you just need to make sure, again, run the Nginx, which is your server, and then run no albs, which is your scene switcher. And you will have to do that every time you restart your PC or anything like that. So make sure those are running before you start your IRL stream and you'll be good to go. All right, and that right there is the complete guide, the ultimate guide to IRL streaming. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I do live stream over on kick.com/yuppie, and I do a lot of IRL stuff. I talk a lot of technology. And I do literally everything you can imagine. I'm a crazy variety streamer, and yeah, so be sure to come check me out over there. And I would appreciate if you sub to the channel and like this video. I would really appreciate it. If you have any problems or whatever, let me know in the comments section down below. But as long as you follow along very slowly and carefully, this should work perfectly for you every single time. Thank you very much for watching.